you for your sponsorship. IT&E Cabo Enterprises. As we get ready to head into a strict lockdown, and a lot of people with a lot of questions this morning, and so we wanted to bring on the Adelup press secretary, Krystal Paco-San Agustin. Good morning, Krystal.
Good morning, Chris and Bree and Joster and Jason.
All right, Krystal, take us through what's open, what's closed, because we've been getting a lot of questions, and I'm sure you have too. What can you tell us right now?
Well, stay-at-home order will be effective at noon today, as the governor announced, and it will continue for an initial period through 12 p.m. on August 28th. So I can preview you of the executive order. It hasn't been signed yet, but I've been working overnight with our lawyers to kind of define what's open, what's not. As you said, I've been getting a lot of calls. So again, the executive order hasn't been signed just yet, but I can preview you. Gov Guam will continue to operate, but without public access. So people will be teleworking when possible. This means suspension of all customer service functions, except those critical to health and safety of our community. No parks and beach use whatsoever. I saw that in your comments. A lot of people asking, can I go outside to the park and get my exercise? We ask that you refrain from that for the next week. It's just 1 week, and then we'll see how our numbers fare, and then we'll proceed with further guidance. A lot of questions about banks, because it is a Gov Guam payday. Banks can remain open. I just clarified this with legal counsel. Banks can remain open for today and tomorrow, their normal hours. But if on Monday, they must start closing. They must close starting Monday, rather. So I passed by the Bank of Guam on my way to work, and oh my gosh, that line. So banks can remain open today and tomorrow, normal hours, but Monday they must comply with the executive order. A lot of questions overnight about drive-through, curbside, and delivery services. So for that has changed. Absolutely no patrons can enter the establishment, but drive-throughs, curbside pickup, and delivery is okay. Okay, so you could still go to your favorite fast food restaurants. Restaurants can still operate as long as it's curbside pickup only. It's strictly curbside, and drive-through only, and delivery can operate. Again, no patrons are allowed inside the establishment. I know there's a lot of questions about Gov Guam Payday. Again, Gov Guam Payday direct deposits will be unaffected, but for those with paper checks, I understand that the Department of Administration will have the checks available for pickup at the Treasurer of Guam from AM to noon today. No construction. I'm just going down a short list of the most frequently asked questions I'm getting. No construction, but we can't control projects on base, so is only applicable to projects off base. And I know that there will be more questions, especially once the EO is signed and released. We will be activating a hotline here at Adelup. I can tell you these numbers go straight to my office, so we'll be a smooth operator for the next few days. Hotlines here at Adelup, they'll start at 11 o'clock today. So if you have questions whether or not you can operate, or if you're a business owner and you want to know if you can operate, we'll have those phone numbers for you to call. If you want to take these numbers down, I'll have a graphic up shortly. It's 475-9473, 475-9390, 475-4770, and 475-3221. And I can tell you those phone numbers go straight to my office and the neighboring desk. Of course, socially distanced. We are activating a hotline service here at Adelup to answer your questions. So far, anything? Oh, you want to talk about quarantine?
Yeah.
Right? Trying to get through all of the FAQs. So quarantine, as the governor has stated, we need to control our numbers. We need to stabilize our numbers. And while we do not have the authority, Governor Leon Guerrero does not have the authority to shut down the Guam International Airport Authority. That is the FAA facility. Right. What we can do is quarantine passengers who do come into Guam. So in line with this stay-at-home order effective today at noon, all passengers coming into Guam must go through mandatory quarantine at a Government of Guam facility.
Krystal,
so the first,
go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were.
The first flights that will be affected will be this evening's flights, and that's the Honolulu flight and the Narita flight. I just got off the phone with John Kinata, our executive director there at the Guam International Airport Authority, and he says that since the governor, for the last week, since PCOR 1 was instituted, that we've seen a very sharp decline in numbers of incoming travelers. And so we hope that, not too many people are affected, but people coming in tonight will be required to do mandatory quarantine at our facility, at least for the next week until we get further guidance.
What about
Try to-
funerals and the burial of remains and sending remains off island? Do you have any info on that?
So as for funeral services, at least, we ask that for the next week, that if you have a funeral service planned, that you refrain for at least a week, you delay it for at least a week.
Okay.
Again, funerals, we know from the evidence here, from the contact tracing efforts, that funerals have been, unfortunately, a major source of community spread.
Krystal, I know we haven't even got into this week-long lockdown, but people are already asking, is a week long enough? Are you able to speak to that at all?
Right. And I know I'm not the doctor, and you had like a whole lineup of doctors before me. So I feel like I don't feel like I have enough credentials. But what we are seeing is that it takes 2 weeks due to the incubation period of COVID-19, and this 2 week, it takes 2 weeks to see symptoms sometimes, or the testing quality is always dependent on timing, that we won't really see the outcome of our directives until 2 weeks later. But because by the end of this week, we should see the outcome of our PCOR 1 that was instituted last week, we're hoping to get a better grasp of controlling our numbers.
We had another question about the funeral. Sorry, what if they want to bury and forego a funeral service, and then a guy had just called and said they're asking us to delay for a week, but who's going to pay for it? Because there's costs. Obviously, there's costs associated with that.
So I'm looking at my other computer to see the questions as well.
Okay.
Hi, Faith. That's in Augustin's funeral home.
Yeah,
That's actually my husband's family funeral
there you
service.
go.
Husband's family funeral service. So you can go ahead with the burial, but as for funeral services, please, that's a no-go at this time.
Going back to the quarantine of all travelers coming into Guam, we have a question here. Does that include airline employees?
Hi, Bev, Tess, Jay, Solace. Okay, so relative to airline employees, I cannot speak for airline employees. Again, that airline employees are subject to their company's protocols.
How about sustenance fishing? Is that allowed if we can't go to the parks and the beaches?
I want to say yes, because fishing is for food.
Right.
So the executive order does state that, things that support our
Life
survival,
right.
preservation of life, right? And so what we're seeing is that, yes, so when you say yes to the grocery store, you have to automatically say yes to the distributor, the food distributor who supplies the grocers. So yes, that is, from my understanding, that is good to go.
Krystal, is there going to be a press conference or anything like that when this executive order comes out?
I haven't been briefed on that right
Okay.
now. Actually, the governor is in her 8:30 meeting still.
Right.
Once she gets out of that, I hope to go straight into a 10 o'clock meeting with her and get more guidance from her. As you saw from my very raw footage of her video, shot a video of her yesterday, that was our message to the people of Guam, basically saying that we had to do the stay-at-home order. I'm the videographer behind that. I learned a lot of KUAM with all my experience shooting on.
Krystal, how rapidly did this situation develop? Because we went from a press conference at 1:30, 2 o'clock, where we had heard, I mean, you were there, we heard all the stuff from the governor, and then just a matter of 4 or 5 hours later, boom, right? And it just kind of goes to show, and I'm tired of hearing rapidly evolving, but this is exactly what it is, right? So if you could, maybe a little insight into just how quickly this turned around on us.
Very quickly. It started immediately after the press conference. I'm sure you saw those viral WhatsApp messages. Social media is definitely the way to get information around. And we ask that people don't share unverified information. Please share only verified information. And that's what the Joint Information Center is for. It did change in a matter of hours. I want to say in maybe a matter of 2 hours, the governor called me. She saw the viral message. She asked me to confirm the numbers. I'm sure you saw that message. It said about 80 plus.
Right.
So what I did was, when the governor called me, it was a matter of calling the lab. Stephanie Kern-Alley, she's the one that puts together our daily situation report, which we all turn to for our data, right? Because she's our data girl. She's our epidemiologist that collects all the data from the labs. And she basically confirmed that, yes, we can expect, brace yourself, is really what she said. When I asked her, what is this rumor true? And she just, she went quiet, and I was like, oh no, your silence is deafening. She basically said brace for 100 plus cases. And so that's when we started activating the stricter stay-at-home order. And so immediately after that, I want to say in the next hour, within the hour, we went straight into a really small meeting. The governor joined us again. She's been she's been released from isolation. She was again maintaining social distance and wearing our masks, but she did join us for that meeting. That's how serious it was that she had to come to Adelup and speak with us. She definitely wanted to, stay at home. Everybody stay at home just for the week. Let us figure out the numbers. Let us control the numbers. It's alarming. It's alarming. And then by that evening, I think your 6 o'clock news, I heard Nestor saying, we'll have the latest. You were texting me. Everyone was texting me. Is this true? Is this true? I think I got that viral message 100 times yesterday.
Right, yeah.
And so it was about debunking that. And I couldn't even respond at that time because I knew that it was plus 80 cases at that time.
Yeah.
So thank you for your partnership.
Right. I wanted to, you probably may have seen the question, but people are asking about the whole quarantine, the mandatory quarantine. And that is even if you have a negative PCR test?
Even with a negative PCR test, even if you came from a low risk area at this time, we need to buckle down, Guam, stay in place. And that includes our incoming travelers.
Okay. The executive order is coming out at 12, right? Or could be sooner?
I hope sooner. I definitely hope sooner. Okay. Once I have it, it will be in your hands. It'll be in your WhatsApp inbox immediately. You're all on my broadcast list.
Right. Krystal, I just wanted to ask, because it's not signed, but the info you're giving us, is it pretty much a done deal? Do you see any deviation from when this thing gets signed versus what you just told us?
I verified all my information with the lawyers, speaking with them. I think I'm part of the reason why there's a delay in the EO, because I'm asking them so many questions. And we're actively speaking with the governor. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about this? Right. And so she did give the okay on drive-through, curbside, and delivery. After speaking with her, she initially only wanted grocery stores, but we got to think about the people who can't afford to cook at home or who can't cook at home,
or
right?
essential workers who are away from the house and need to pick up lunch, right? Yeah.
Right, like me, right? And I don't cook. I here at the office, I don't have access to a kitchen. So
you don't cook, girl?
My husband, I married a cook, so we are okay.
Winner. Hey, I just had from my friends at UOG Triton Farm where they have, they do a lot of food sustenance type stuff, but they weren't listed as essential. But since it's sustenance of life, right? So they would be okay.
Right, preservation of life and for food, just like we were talking about the fishing. Fishermen, I want to say that they are okay.
But only if they catch.
For food distribution, yes, and food banks, I understand, are good because obviously people need that for survival.
And then can you tell us any more about the construction thing? So again, just to clarify, all construction outside of the military fence lines is paused for 1 week.
Yes.
And have you guys had any conversation with doing this, with maybe the military doing the same thing inside the fence line? Are you aware of any talks on that?
The governor and Adam speak daily. Okay. And so I'm sure she's been briefed about what their next steps are as well.
All right. Thanks a lot, Krystal. Stay safe.
Was there anything else, Krystal?
Order and guidance. I will push it out to you. Thank you so much for giving us this platform.
Thank you, Krystal. Be safe.
Bye.
Okay, wash hands. 9:33. It's Friday. We'll take a short break and we're back with more of the show next. Good morning, Guam.
NBC Primetime Tonight kicks off at 7 with an NBC News.
Robert Underwood is one of the most respected men in Guam as a leader of our community. Respected for his knowledge and his willingness to help.